Hey, everybody, you listen to the Wombo podcast. I'm Chip Monk, and with me, as always, the co-host with the mostest, Mr. Gimpy.
What's up, Chip?
What's happening?
Chip? The intros are getting more and more intricate now. Did you notice that?
Yeah, it keeps it going.
Right.
It's the tale that never ends, you know.
It's the tale that never
Goes
ends.
on and on, my friends. Yeah,
right,
dude.
Right. For sure, man. How you been, dude?
You know, it's just magical. Sometimes, like I woke up, I saw a video of somebody dropping their cell phone into the ocean, and then a baby beluga whale brought it back up to them.
There it is, man. There it is.
So, you know, and it's like all the comments were like, if you didn't capture this on film, nobody would have believed that this happened.
For sure. I don't believe it. I got you.
That's the kind of algorithm I've been cultivating over here.
Just some sort of just like some positive thinking there, huh? With the algorithm.
It's just like any negativity, I've just been being like not interested. Like you can do that. There's like 3 little dots on like the video. You click that and say, get out of here. I don't need this in my life.
That's dope.
I do that with like all the breaking news and stuff. I'm just like, somebody will tell me. Like it is so ingrained and indoctrined with like every person that you talk to. Like the first thing they're going to tell you about is like, oh, would you watch this news? I'm like, nah, but I'm sure you're going to tell me about it. And then I can get their perspective on it, which is usually whatever, you know, they're regurgitating. So it is what it is.
Right. Gotta say, man, it was super fun. Everyone listening, Chipped Monk came out for my stream on Wednesdays, so we had a good time.
Just say Mondays,
Halo.
Wednesdays,
Wednesdays, yeah.
Just in the stream.
Chip happened to be online, and I hit him up, and he joined up, and he actually stayed up pretty late too, man. Usually go to bed pretty early, just since you're
I had the day off. It wasn't a school night for me.
Yeah. So Chip,
I was like, I got tomorrow off.
I have to say, for the lack of gameplay, the conversation was on point. I was dying laughing, and the next day, so we got into a huge debate on the Lord of the Rings Amazon show, where people were up in arms about the dwarven women not having beards and saying how it's not lore accurate. And then
I was like posting pictures from like The Hobbit, and I was like, look, the beards here, and you're like, why do you care so much about this? I was like, I don't. It's the internet. This is what happens when you cultivate a positive algorithm.
It was much like Skywalker, like the Rise of Skywalker, where Palpatine was like, I am all the Sith. And Rey is like, I am all the Jedi. You were all the internet at that point, dude.
I remember incredible. Like that second movie that they did, the new Star Wars movies, where Rey goes into that, meets, with Luke Skywalker, spoilers. And then she finds like some like trailers. She finds like some sort of dark cave that she goes into, and then I was like, what about if the rest of that movie was just part of her Jedi training? Like Luke Skywalker goes into like that training, like in Tantu or wherever it was, the swamp with Yoda, and he has to fight like, the shadow of Darth Vader. I was like, what if it's that, but like, more for Jedis? Like this was like the full experience. Would you be upset about that? And then most people I talked to pre-release of that third movie with Palpatine were like, dude, no, I'd be really pissed off. Then after that movie came out, I asked people the same question. They're like, yeah, that's a good idea. They should have just did that. They should have just retconned that entire movie.
Right. Ah, man. Yeah, I won't get into the new Star Wars trilogy. It was one of those things where you got like the nostalgia trip of The Force Awakens, right? Where you're like, okay, this is just a New Hope all over again, but I'm here for it, right?
It was New Hope times 3. Everything was 3 times bigger.
Right.
It was it's the moon, now it's the size of a planet.
I will say the movies got worse the more Kylo Ren kept taking off his damn mask. He has one of the coolest fucking looks in the entire series. And the dude always takes off his mask, dude. I was like, fucking, you're not breathing that or what? To fucking keep it on, man. Like if Darth Vader didn't have his cool ass like fucking drip, right? Like all series. And he looked like the fucking old man, like when he took off his mask. mask in fucking Return of the Jedi.
Cowardly
I don't want to
old
watch
man.
that shit. I want to watch an old man. I want to watch a cool ass
man with a
fucking
double
7-foot dude in a fucking black fucking armor shit, just swinging on people, man. That's what I wanted to see. And
right.
Kylo Ren looked cool as hell. The voice modulator thing, his voice sounded cool. And then he takes off his mask and he's fucking Adam Driver, looks like a little wiener, dude. I was like, God damn it. But great actor.
I thought those movies were all right.
They're fine. They're fine.
I'm gonna say I don't like Star Wars though. So take it with the grain of salt. Where I'm like, these movies are good. To me, it's just like all Star Wars, right? Like I feel the same way about Jurassic Park, where it's like if you want a movie with dinosaurs in it, that's the only game in town, baby. They ain't making nothing else except these horrible Jurassic Park spin-offs.
Oh man, those man, I don't know how they're so successul.
Because it's the only game in town with dinosaurs.
But man, that's another movie, man, where the qualities just go straight down, dude.
I would like to see them try and do like a Dino Crisis movie with the Capcom. Because they just tried that reboot with the Resident Evil. We were kind of amped for it. Yeah. I never actually went and watched it. Return to Raccoon City or whatever.
Yeah.
I just watched some reviews on it. People were like, they tried to do too much with like what they had.
I will say this. Here's the thing. It's a video game movie, right? But it fully embraces what it is. And don't expect it to be like the next Schindler's List, right? But if you go in, you got a beer in your hand, and you just turn your brain off for a little bit. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed myself with that. So
same with Star Wars and Jurassic Park, man. If you can go to it with the right mindset of like those movies are made for children. That's it, right? That's why they put out Star Wars like at Christmas time, is to bring the whole family out.
Yeah,
it's
Star
a Christmas
Wars is
movie.
A family event. Like truthfully, when the prequel trilogy first was new, my dad, I was in I think I was in high school when that came out. Like, no, I was in elementary school or middle school when the first, episode 1 came out. But then Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith came out. I was in high school, I believe. And my dad made it a point to take us out of school to go see Star Wars. Like, he goes, this is a cultural event, and it's more important than whatever the fuck you're doing in school right now. So we're gonna go see Star Wars.
This is history.
It was never opening night, right? But it was always like the next day,
you never want to go opening,
because it was like if you
go during the school day, like after like the opening weekend, dude, like nobody's gonna be there. It's the perfect time to go.
Yeah,
you guys are genius.
We went like every the Monday after opening weekend, like for all of these movies, and I gotta say, man, I enjoyed myself. I liked Star Wars growing up, but it wasn't like I wasn't like a super fan. And I'm still not. I just like it. But the experience of seeing, and I think this is one of those things where what makes Star Wars such a fan favorite is because, as you said, it's a family event and it's a shared experience across generations, right?
Yeah.
Like I definitely like the original trilogy better, but my Star Wars is the prequel trilogy, and my dad's Star Wars is the original trilogy. And my kid's Star Wars will probably be the new trilogy, just because they're of that age and they've already seen the first of the new trilogy. Whatever I think of it, it doesn't matter. It's did that capture the sense of wonder that I felt watching the prequel trilogy, or my dad felt watching the original trilogy on release. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of the beauty of it. Like, regardless of how you feel about the movies, I think if we're gonna rate them, just I still think that Attack of the Clones is the worst thing of all time, followed closely by Last Jedi.
Did you play Knights of the Old Republic, the KOTOR?
Yes.
That game was a banger, dude. Like, we've seen like somehow in video games they've been able to do like a good Star Wars story
in the movies, dude. Yeah.
They're like, I don't know, the movies like they're just gonna give us like a family friendly thing, because like those games got like dark in places, man.
They did.
And I think we just kind of take it for granted because we're like, it's video games, it's rated, are this games rated mature? I think those are only
no, it's T. It was T. Yeah, they're all T. I don't think there will ever be a Star Wars rated M.
It was just there's no blood, but you're cutting dudes down into pieces.
That's the interesting thing, right? To be rated teen, as long as there's no blood, you can cut off as many limbs as you want.
It's a lightsaber, dude.
Yeah, exactly. We made this man a paraplegic with a lightsaber, but rated T.
Yeah, it's a magic wand, dude. It's fine.
All right. Yeah. But I think I'm curious what the next cultural landmark piece of cinema will be, right? Because
I finally saw your Spider-Man movie, dude.
Oh yeah, what'd you think?
My biggest complaint is it should have been 2 movies. I think movie 1 should have been him dealing with the fallout. Spoilers of being Spider-Man, and the premise is he gets exposed at the end of whatever by Mysterio.
Far From Home, yeah.
Far From Home. And this is like him like, oh no, everybody knows I'm Spider-Man now. But for the most part, everybody seems pretty cool with it. Everyone's just like, yeah, what can you do? They're like, you're kind of an asshole, but whatever. And like, there's like consequences to that. So I think like movie 1 should have been him just dealing with the fallout of that more and giving that a little bit of time to breathe. Because it feels like very rushed and impulsive when it comes to Doctor Strange. It's like, can we undo this somehow? So I think give it a little time,
though, because he's still a child.
Yeah, which is fine. But like, then I would have movie 1 would have been dealing with that and then fighting the villains that get in from the other universes, and then the end of that movie would have been trying to help out those villains, and then movie 2 would have been dealing with like the fallout from that. Because like I don't know, it just felt when you have Spider-Man and Spider-Man, like you want to be able to experience that,
I will say,
and that's like a really not complaint, right? It's like I wish there was more movie.
Yeah. I will say the thing that got me the most hype in the entire thing was seeing comic accurate goblin strength. Their apartment fight
800 times stronger than.
Well, he's supposed to be. It's like 80. It's like 10 to 80, I think. It's
he's a little bit stronger than
he like straight MMA'd Peter through the fucking floor in the apartment fight scene. Not to do super spoilers, but that I was like that whole scene, dude. I was on the edge of my seat, like holy shit, we're finally getting comic strength, goblin and shit. I was fucking hyped, dude. But. Like I said, I enjoyed that movie. I'm glad you got to see. Did you see it in theaters or is it out on streaming yet? I don't even know.
Out in theaters.
Oh, okay. Still
it's still out there.
Perfect, dude. Dope. There's man. I think that I'm glad you saw it. So it's funny. I've seen every Marvel movie except for the Eternals to this day. It's on Disney Plus. I just can't. It's like 3 hours long. And I'm not interested in any of the characters nor the story. So it's really tough for me to just start watching it. I got spoiled for the end credit scene featuring one of my favorite comic characters of all time that we brought up on the pod before. So I want to watch it just for that, but we'll see. Maybe I'll like it. Maybe it's one of those things where me not being interested in it will lower my expectations, so I actually enjoy it.
It sounds a little bit like it almost has the same problem as like Lord of the Rings, where it's like they want you to like... No, just like the scope of time is so great that it never feels like there's any urgency. Because like in the Lord of the Rings, like that trilogy takes place over like 20 years or something.
Yeah.
But like you have to like bring it down to like 2 hours per movie to like really give a sense of tension.
All of them were 3 hours though.
Yeah. And like if you get the extended edition, it's like 24 hours. It's like a day to watch. But but even that, it's like you still break it down for a movie to make it like interesting, where there's like every movie feels like, oh, we gotta rush, whereas like in the books it's like, this is over like 20 years, it's just whatever. We got time. We're just walking there.
Have you ever done the extended edition watch marathon where you watch the extended editions of all of the Hobbit movies and all of the Lord of the Rings movies?
Never.
Literally takes like 18 hours, dude. I know,
like sometimes theaters would do that, like in the long ago. The before times.
The before times when people could go outside and enjoy movies.
When people could go outside to go to a movie theater for 24 hours straight and watch all of the Lord of the Rings extended editions.
Yes, dude. Yes. So on the gaming front, man, you doing anything gaming wise, either dev or playing?
No, I've still just been drawing. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Just been sketching, working on more digital art. I'm improving. This is how serious I am. I'm ordered new sketchbooks, man. I got some sketchbooks now, and I got that on the way. I got some pencils and some pens. I got like a whole set of art stuff, new art supplies. And then I was like looking at people doing like hand drawn animations in Clip Studio, and I was like, I could probably do that. So I don't know. I think I'm moving towards that springtime now. The fall's over. Just do art, and then like this usually leads into painting. Like my game dev cycle's like clocked out. So
but then when you go back to game dev, you'll be leveled up in art. So interesting, man.
How about you been making any progress
on the game dev side? No. I haven't worked on it at all this week. I had my vacation, and the vacation was not as relaxing as you would think. But I did it. I had my vacation on the week of Elden Ring and King of Fighters 15's release. Well, 15 came out last week, but my shipment was delayed. Thanks, Amazon. Shout out for shipping that like 4 days later than release. So thanks for that.
I've heard they've just been straight up lying about like shipping times now because
I even pre-ordered the game, and it's when you pre-order on Amazon, it's supposed to be day of release. Fucking 4 or 5 days later, like eat my ass, Amazon. You know what I mean? But whatever.
We say that, but we still support this heartless conglomerate.
Exactly.
We're the same people are like, well, those workers really need to unionize and get like healthcare benefits, but we're also like, man, fuck them workers.
Pretty much.
I remember like they were doing that. I was like telling people that they're unionizing, and they're like, "Oh, that's bullshit. They're taking advantage of everything that's going on." And I was like, "Yeah, they want to have sick leave in case they get the coof. They want to be notified if somebody else is sick." And they're like, "Oh, I mean, that sounds really reasonable." I'm like, "Yeah," but it's hard to bargain that down when they don't have that before. So
true. Yeah, man. This kind of brings us into today's topic. Elden Ring came out. Fucking banger of a game. I'm enjoying the hell out of it.
Everybody's been playing it except me.
Unfortunately, I bought it on PC instead of console. And From Software is notorious for having pretty shoddy PC ports. It's gotten better. I'll say like Dark Souls 3 when that came out on PC, pretty solid, Unfortunately, Elden Ring suffers from stutters, minimal crashes. Some people's controllers weren't working, I guess. It's like in playing a Souls game with the keyboard and mouse, you want to fucking pull out your eyes and stomp on them and never like even witness someone doing that again, just because it's so bad. I'm sure people there are fucking chads out there who play with their keyboard and mouse, and I know there's guys who play with a Guitar Hero controller and shit, but that's not me. So I play with the controller and all that. But the game, man.
Or playing with your flight stick back there, plugged it in. You're like, this isn't supported. This is bullshit from
right. Trash game. But man, the game itself is really, really good. A lot of reviews are calling it, one of the greatest games of all time. And I was like, man, that's a little premature. Then I jump in and start playing it. I'm like, I can see how they got to that conclusion. It's really good, and you lose time from playing it. Right? I started playing that game at like 5 o'clock on release day. I fucking blink and it's 4 a.m. Like, oh. How'd that happen? I played it a couple more times, and it's been fun. I've been, the stuttering, it's there, but it's not like a game breaker, but it's annoying. Mine hasn't been as bad as other people. Other people are like stuttering on bosses and shit. And at first I was like, maybe it's hardware, but I have a 2070 Super, and I'm stuttering. My buddy has a fucking 3090, and he's stuttering, and he's actually crashing a bunch. So I'm like, okay, they need to release a patch, and they've come out and said, oh yeah, we need to release a patch. So hopefully soon. But it's disappointing that the PC community has to deal with this, and this is not the first time. This is every time there's a multi-generational release, you hope the PC version isn't buggy. And why is that? Because they build these games on PC, a lot of them target consoles. Currently, Elden Ring runs the best on the Xbox Series X. I have another friend who's playing it on the PlayStation 5 who has dealt with crashes on a console. So
That's
they'll
This only
address it,
happened to
but
me on new gen consoles. It's like where the games will actually crash on me.
yeah,
You were there when we were playing that new cyber game where it's like
the
top down
Ascent.
shooter.
Yes,
Yeah, the
yes,
Descent. And like that game was crashing on us, dude, but we were playing on last gen.
yeah. It
So
was
it
on
wasn't
the
like an SR and
yeah.
X, but
It was the Xbox One X. Yeah,
yeah.
but
And
still,
like that was crashing.
right. But that's no excuse, man. No excuse. No excuse to crash on a console that you target. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's how I feel about that. Like if your shit's crashing on your targeted system, like why'd you release this? You know?
Yeah. It definitely seems more and more like games are coming out like this as well, where it's like
Mhm.
they know they can do the day one patch. A lot of this stuff it's like known quantities as well that they get in QA where they're like, oh yeah, this stuff's broken. Some of the
Yeah.
stuff I think you can give them a pass for, like people trying to play the game with like a flight stick or whatever. They're like, yeah, my controller isn't supported. It's like there's a lot of controllers out there, so it's hard to support everything. But like
Well, I
if
mean,
you're
you just
playing
support
like
the driver. You know what I mean? You should recognize it
yeah,
as a controller. But a lot of times I think when we're in the game creation side of it, we think of solutions that are pretty simple, but it's never that simple.
yeah,
I feel like I'm like, okay, you just enable support for the X input driver and you're good to go, right? But other people, they're like, okay, we need support for legacy gamepads, stuff like that, and maybe they're doing a custom engine or something. Although I know they're not because they use the Unreal Engine to make it. So
yeah. So it shouldn't be
right.
that hard.
Or maybe they don't use the Unreal Engine. I might be
I know,
talking out of
like
my ass.
for me, when I'm messing with the Unity, like they have like their universal like controller input spreadsheet that they made now.
Yeah.
Even that, like if you're trying to add controller support, if you don't go in right away thinking about that, you can get pretty far into a project, and then when you try and put a controller in there, you're like, "Ooh, I need to like
Ooh,
rewrite a lot of this
yeah.
code."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I feel for the From guys, like they target with controller first, and then that's when PC play. They're like, oh yeah, we have to support PC players, and they're like, ooh, that sucks. And
yeah,
yeah, man, give me 1 second here to take
yeah.
care of something.
Sip on some drink.
Sorry for the interruption, guys. I just had some kids to deal with, but
So like From stuff usually always targets controllers
yeah, which is fine.
from
I
the
mean,
ground up.
And here's the thing: they've built up such a rabid following that, unfortunately, and I hate saying this, and I'm probably gonna get some flack for this, but they might be in the Bethesda boat for PC gamers, where despite the bugs, they can do no wrong because people are now expecting it. They're expecting a poor PC port from Software. They will complain about it. They will complain about it, but they will still play. They'll still purchase, and that's kind of where Bethesda was, right? They've re-released Skyrim like 40 times now, and the game's over a decade old, and and
Still busted.
it's still buggy as hell. Like when you have a game that's like where you have YouTube compilation videos of the current version of the game being buggy as shit. Something's wrong, dude. Like that should not be the status quo, man. So that's what I wanted to propose today with today's topic, man. Game devs who are releasing known buggy games and getting away with it. Why did Cyberpunk get fucking dragged over the coals for doing what Bethesda does every release?
Would have gotten away with it too if it hadn't been for you damn kids.
Yeah. No, and I know the reason why, right? But I just want to talk about it. I want to talk about why, like From Software, the original Dark Souls, when that got released on PC, the Prepare to Die edition, that shit was broken as fuck. Not even the online worked, man. You had to this day download a fan patch to play it as intended to be. They released the enhanced edition, which actually fixed shit, but still the Dark Souls fan patch was still better than the actual release they gave us. So. It's just accepted because the game is so damn good. But why do people get away with this?
It's a good comparison too, because Bethesda has built up goodwill by making ambitious games, and it's weird that CD Projekt Red has gotten as much flack as they have because they've also built up goodwill by fixing their busted ass games. Because I think it was like The Witcher 2 came out just like broken and unplayable, and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna fix this. And they spent like 3 years like working on getting it to like be fixed. And then I think even after The Witcher 3 was released, they still were putting out fixes for Witcher 2.
Yes.
And then they're like, yeah, we're fixing our game. We're gonna do right by you guys. So it's weird that a company known for like fixing their jank ass game got more flack for like putting out a busted game than I don't know, maybe they set the bar too high of like fixing games and then like doing right and then like learning their engine and putting out like a working product.
Yeah.
Whereas Bethesda consistently just put it out like jank. And
Bethesda
they don't stop.
gives you toothpicks and bubblegum and calls it a game every time. And then everyone's edition of their toothpick and bubblegum game is a little different. One has less toothpicks than the other. One has more bubblegum. You know what I mean? Like
maybe this is the Jurassic Park effect, my man. Where it's like the only game in town going for like these big, grandiose, ambitious worlds. So everyone just gives it a pass. Like much like Jurassic Park, where you're like, why do people still go to these movies?
You know what I think? You might be right with the expansive open world. You're gonna have more bugs, just in general, just from how big and scope your game is. Like I think one game that kind of got away with it, Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, right?
Yeah.
One game made by one studio, the baseball guy, I can't remember his name, but
one mad lad's vision.
Game one guy's vision, and it just puts out a banger of a game, and then but spends way too much money and just fucking
bankrupts a company, lawsuits.
Bankrupts himself.
I think he's probably in jail.
Right, but a banger of a game. Now you're right, man. I think scope is it. But why did CD Projekt Red get raked over the coals? And I think I have the answer, but I'll let you. Are you done? Can I?
No, and it seems like the Cyberpunk was going for that scope finally, but like everything that they did in it was just kind of it just seemed like overpromised by whoever was in charge of marketing and like whoever was giving them like their bullet points. They quietly removed things from like marketing stuff. I think that was a bigger thing too. Is just like the years of hype building up to it. Like you can't just like keep promising gumdrops and rainbows, and then like when the check comes due, be like, oh yeah, open world check. What could you do? It's like, no, dude, you said this was working. 2 years ago. You fuck.
So there is always something when you have cross-generational releases, right?
Yeah.
I figured Cyberpunk would be broken on release, right? I didn't have the hype everyone else did for it. I didn't even buy it. I still haven't bought it. The reason being...
Still not worth buying. I would say like wait for the next sale.
Okay.
And they have like a bigger patch plan, I think, the middle of this year.
Okay. I've heard it's a lot better now.
They've been fixing it.
Yeah.
It's still busted.
Which we figured they would, right? But here's the thing. These guys, it was a FPS RPG hybrid. These guys have made third-person RPGs, right? They've never done the FPS genre. They've never done first-person shooters. So I was like, well, hopefully it's okay, right?
Yeah, really out of their wheelhouse.
The development cycle was so long that it was originally targeted for the last gen consoles, the PS4, Xbox One. It was in such a long gestation cycle that they were like, oh hey, we're going to support the new consoles, and actually that's what we're targeting now, but it'll still come out on the other consoles. So they switched their target from the old consoles to the new, and which completely fucked the old consoles over. And they on release, when they were releasing like screenshots and things, and then like other impressions, they've never released screenshots or videos of the game running on the PS4 or the Xbox One. And that's a huge red flag. And anyone listening, if it's cross-generational time and you own an old console and a game's coming out and that version will be on your own console as well, fucking great, like red flag it all the time if you never see a screenshot for the system for the game on your system.
I always think of it as just like those Game Boy Advance ports. Remember, like where Super Nintendo would have like the Game Boy version of like the same game. It's like it's gonna be like Terminator, just like the game you got on the Super. It's like, no, it's not, bro. It's gonna be like a scuffed ass, nerfed down like version, even if it's like the same developer, dude. Like it's gonna be a different experience. So
for sure. So I mean, the fact that all of this happened in CD Projekt Red, and they had no reason to say anything because the game was already, it was like the highest pre-order sales ever. Like they have no reason to come out and go, it's shitty. And even they tried fixing it, man. They're going, hey, we're going to delay this because it's still not up to where it's not up to par. We're going to delay it again. It's not up to par. I think their delay cycles were too short. That game should have came out probably last year versus 2 years ago. Or has it been 2 years? Maybe, whatever.
It's like a year and a half. Came out towards the end of the.
It probably needed another year of gestation.
Yeah. So I think that's why these newer games just don't get the flack, dude. It's just the marketing cycle, the dev cycles, like was it Elden Rings? Like there's not from Soft. I think they've built up a lot of goodwill.
Oh yeah,
and
Armored Core, Dark Souls, Demon Souls. Yeah, man.
I don't remember really hearing anything about this new game that they're doing, but it can be because of how I cultivate my YouTube algorithm. Yeah, bro.
It's only the biggest release of the year so far, dude, and probably of the entire year.
I've only seen people playing like Lost Ark and this game, Rings of Elden.
Yeah, that's fair. Elden Ring, as you know, like the George R.R. Martin had a hand in the world building. So people who don't typically play Souls games were interested because of that. I actually think George R.R. Martin's a hack, but that's just me.
I think he's all right. I don't know.
I think he's a guy who has great grandiose ideas, and From Software used him exactly for that because he cannot dive in and do intricacies and actually end a story.
He's like Kojima, dude. Like Kojima just throws out wild shit, and he needs like somebody in the room to be like no, and like bring down his. I remember he had like an idea for a bad guy who's like powers like photosynthesis, and somebody was like, "No, Kojima, no."
No, I'm down, man. They got quiet. Yeah. That's how she breathes, man. Just
there you go. They just repurpose it later on.
Right.
Yeah, man. It seems like you need like a big ideas guy though when you're making like big grandiose worlds, and like you need other writers. There's usually a team of writers like in any game like this where you need like 5 or 6 writers. You have like your primary quest writers, you have like dialogue writers, you have like people just writing one-off dialogues where they just generate just random stuff for people to say like NPCs. Right. So then you have like your main plotters who will take like the story beats, and then you have other people who will like try and tie in branches of those story beats. It's usually
I will say you haven't. I know you haven't played any of the Souls games. There's stories
mostly because of the bad writing, dude. Like that first Souls game, like nothing's explained. There's no writing. Like they're like everyone's like it's an experience. You got to figure shit out from the world. And like I know it's gotten better with like the re-release where they fixed a lot of dialogue.
No, they didn't do any of that.
No, yeah, because it's like you had to like go to a Wikipedia, and I remember watching the remake where they're like, yeah, we just took like the Wikipedia and put it in the game now.
No,
because people we're like every time somebody has to leave the game to go to Wikipedia, we know we failed it.
No, the game is a layered onion, man. It's the Shrek reference. The entire world and story building was done through the in games, like your everything had to do with the story. Your items, the people you were talking to, the merchants. The game is purposefully vague to have you explore deeper. It's made like that, and it's the only game in town that's really doing that successfully. I think the fact that you just haven't played the game, you're discounting the fact of everyone else's discovery of it. You have to unwrap the story, and you have to do that with Elden Ring as well. Elden Ring is probably I'd say Bloodborne, probably easier to get into, or Sekiro, definitely the easiest to get into story-wise, because Sekiro is more of a traditional game that's just kind of giving you beat by beat. But the Soul series, Demon Souls, Dark, and I'll say Elden Ring as well, the items are going into the lore. They're like Elden Ring, you're dealing with like dung, right? You're pretty much eating shit to heal yourself or whatever. You're the tarnished. There's like fucking shit piles of things that you like break down and you eat to heal yourself, give yourself buffs, stuff like that. Why? Well, if you read the lore, you'll understand why. So
it's the lore in the game, though. Do I have to go somewhere else?
Yes, it's always in the game. Everywhere it's there, you have to pay attention. And that's what the beauty of Dark Souls was when it came out. Or Demon Souls before for sure, but Dark Souls because of the entirety of the zeitgeist really got into it.
It's kind of like a Mass Effect style thing where there's like a huge encyclopedia of information about like planets and stuff, and like I'm good, dude.
If you choose,
I don't even want to learn about our world, the real world, dude. Like,
yeah, man. If you choose,
I watched a video about the history of Narnia, dude. Like the timeline of like the events, the Golden Age, the Dark Age, how a lion sang the entire world into existence, and how he sang off the closure into the real world from the closet, dude. That was 17 minutes long, and I felt like I kind of wasted my time.
See, then I think like the Souls games aren't for you, then, man. Because
man, I know that about myself. Like everyone else is like, you're gonna love it. I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Because I will say, like,
down like that Lord of the Rings fiction, breaking down like Lord of the Rings stuff, like timelines of that. And I'm just like, yeah, all right.
Demon Souls had such a the game's been out for long enough where I feel okay with this, but just in case spoilers, if you pay attention to Demon Souls lore as you're going through it, they mentioned the great old one. They mentioned the great old, like the oldest being there is, who you have to, who has the demon souls and all that, right?
See, like the lion?
It's the final boss of the game, right? And it's an amorphous blob. And throughout the game, it tells you that it has no form. It's something you cannot explain. They were kind of teasing this.
But you can kill it
right?
with a sword.
Yeah. They were teasing this the entire time, and then you fight it, and it's the easiest boss in the game. The penultimate boss in Demon Souls, easiest boss in the game. I don't even think you have to block, really. But it's the journey to get there. This all powerful being, right, of just massive quantities. It infected the entire world. But once you battle the infection, the actual physical form of this thing was a blob, right? Some people are like, what the fuck? But if you paid attention to the lore, you understand it's the power of just controlling everying else that made this
pull out your spoon and beat that pudding cup into
exactly
into submission, dude.
So, and then that's when the YouTuber Vatavidia got his entire career for, because people such as yourself who are playing these games go, the story is terrible, and no, it's not. You just have to unpack it. You have to unpack it from all of these games, and maybe that's not the way you want to experience a story, and that's all right. But it doesn't make it bad. It does not make it bad.
I've never said it's bad. I said it's
straight up said it was terrible.
No, I said it's not for me, dude. It would be terrible for me.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I'm not saying it's gonna be terrible for everybody. I'm saying
put your pitchforks down, Souls fans. Chips backpedaling.
No. I think like if I don't know, maybe play it back. Maybe I did say that. It's a terrible game. This game makes no sense. You have to use a Wikipedia to figure out what's going on, or watch a YouTube video of somebody explaining why you find a big old Jello pudding cup at the end of it with the spoon, and like why it can be defeated by a sword, and why that resets the world at the end. It don't make no dang sense.
Dark Souls does a better job than Demon Souls in explaining itself, and even that you have to unpack the story. But if when you fight the main bosses in Dark Souls, the game kind of, it's more to the point. But if you want to get deeper into the lore of the world and all that, like to reignite the first flame, there's more to it than that, and it's every item.
I can tell is FromSoft has kind of been like Atlas, where they've always just throwing shit at the wall, and then like see what sticks. They're just like, I don't know, we're gonna do mech games, we're gonna do some RPG. Like Atlas was like the same way until they hit Persona. Like if you look at like their
Persona
back
is kind of still wacky, and they do whatever the fuck they want, right?
Yeah, but they like found their niche, and like they're like, we're doing Pokemon but with demons. Like you can sell that to people. I'm like, yeah, all right, I'll go check this weird Japanese game out, and I'll import it for my PlayStation 1. And then like years later, now it's like a mainstay. Everyone's like, Persona's dope, it's crazy. It's like, I know, it's always been crazy.
You're like I've always known.
I feel like that's the same thing with like FromSoft, where they just throw like wacky and crazy ideas at the wall. And did they make a game where it's like you have to go defeat a tree? I think that was like their original big amorphous blob, was a giant tree that you have to like and use a sword, the magic sword of whimsy, and like
I think that was like the first or second Kingsfield game. It wasn't like the main boss, but I'm pretty sure you fought a tree in one of those. I've rarely played them. What's funny is Kingsfield is kind of like the progenitor of Dark Souls, right? And my my best friend growing up, right? His little brother loved Kingsfield, and we didn't get it. We're like, what the fuck? This game sucks. It's slow. It's way too difficult for how slow it is. What the fuck is this? But he was telling me is like one of the best games he's ever played. He's like, you just got to get into it. And 10, 15 years later, Dark Souls or Demon Souls comes out, and Dark Souls comes out and it becomes a fucking banger of a game, and it just kind of expanded on a lot of what Kingsfield did. So like I was wrong.
Can I say something? Are we in our safe space here? Morrowind,
yes.
never beat it.
Yeah, me
I always just get lost doing other things in that game because there's so much to do. Where I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna try and like max out some random skill, or try and become an ultimate burglar, or just try and kill the first guard I see. I always get like sidetracked with some random objective I give myself. I'm never like, I don't have the patience to like follow the main storyline. I'm just like, I don't care. Do my own. I'm making my own story. I'm the hero of my own journey.
I don't think like I've played. So what Elder Scrolls is interesting. So just everyone here, I do not vibe with the Elder Scrolls universe. I don't vibe with the gameplay. It's just at the end of the day, not every game is for you.
You're and saying it's a terrible game. You guys,
I am not. I am not because I know they're not. But that being said, I've played Elder Scrolls Arena. That was my first, time getting. As I said, I've owned a PC most of my life, so I've played a lot of the big tentpole PC releases growing up, and Elder Scrolls Arena was one of them. It's like, all right. And I'm like, this seems too much. But I was like, maybe I'm too young for it. Morrowind comes out, and I'm like, oh, okay. So you can do anything in this game, and it's a huge world, and I'm playing it, but it was too huge, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing or whatever.
I almost felt like the Fable games were better.
Yeah, and
because it was more linear. Like it gives you like a
right,
a railroad and like an experience.
Yeah. So then I've come to respect that Morrowind and Elder Scrolls in general aren't for me. That being said, when Bethesda took over Fallout and that came out, I loved that. So maybe it's just the setting. Who knows? Because like everyone's saying like Fallout's just Elder Scrolls.
Dude, like the Fallout games were busted AF.
The Fallout Bethesda games, yes.
Yeah.
The Black Isle games were not. Those games are fucking bangers.
Solid.
Yeah.
Those are well-oiled machines. Yeah. It's weird that like they just keep getting away with like putting out like busted games, and like we said, maybe it's like a scope problem when you make games that are so big. Like you're gonna have like weird problems with geometry or story, or like the order the quests are given, or like get stuck in like dialogue loops. But
what's interesting, right, is people give Bethesda a pass for this, but Fallout a pass, but that's still Bethesda, these guys. But I was thinking, who makes big ass open worlds that are really fucking solid? Rockstar, right? Yeah. Red Dead Redemption 2, I don't think as far as the single player campaign, I've never encountered a bug. Ever.
They're spending like almost $1 billion on those games.
True,
but develop them for like 10 years.
Yeah, Red Dead Redemption 1, don't think I've ever encountered. No, I had one mission bug where the mission wouldn't complete. But then I reloaded a save, and then there was a patch, so it was fine. Grand Theft Auto, like the single player portion, don't think I've encountered. Like, there's some jank can relate to the physics, but don't think I've ever encountered a true like game breaking bug.
Is there any in World of Warcraft like MMORPGs?
Yeah, those have a scope forever. I think the bugs in there are always glossed over, though, right? They're never.
They always get patched really quick whenever they're game breaking.
Yeah,
I think that's the major problem as well. Is like there seems to be no sense of urgency from developers when there's some sort of game breaking bug. They're just like, yeah, whatever. We'll get to it when we get to it. Like they have like a time frame for when they're doing big patches, and they're not like about like the little fixes, but there's like they have the ability to push out like little fixes to fix like a small problem, where it's like, hey, this is a game breaking bug, like just fix that and put it out. Like you can put this patch out within like an hour or two. And like we've seen fans make patches to games that are broken where they're like, oh, you just got to do this. You got to like adjust like a Dell file, or like inject like something into a code to like get it working with the controller right. And like fans will make the fix within like that same day of like a launch game. And like the big companies like, oh well, you gotta wait. I don't know. LOL, sucks to suck, kid. Like it's like, no, man, just have like somebody on your team just like push out like a quick fix. Like you have all the abilities, all the tools. You have better tools than like most fans of your game that are like cobbling together like some sort of quick fix to it. Like you have zero excuse with like the way modern infrastructure is set up around your game to not be able to do a small fix. And then I guess from there you would say like, well, what constitutes like what needs to be done out and like quick, fast fixes and what can be done in like normal patches for like getting things. And I would say like anything that breaks the game, and if it's like breaking the game for more than, I don't know, like 1% of your players, you should probably fix it immediately. But
right.
I don't think they like.
Yeah, there's something about that, man. Like, let's look at 343, right? Halo Infinite, open world, right? Big open world. There's some definite bugs in there, but you know, like one time a mission wouldn't pop, things like that. 343's multiplayer. The fucking game crashed all the goddamn time. It took them 3 months to fix it, dude. I haven't played much of the new patch, but I haven't experienced the crash yet. Knock on wood. But I think at that point you got to blame publisher, right, for pushing the game out anyway, because every single survey 343 released, it's like, hey, what's wrong with the game, including in the early flights. It's like, hey, this fucker crashes on occasion. Hey, this fucker crashes on occasion. Game comes out. Hey, this motherfucker's crashing still on occasion. You know, 2 months later, crashing. You know, it's like, fix it.
Yeah, publisher definitely pushed it out. They had like their milestones of they're like, oh, we got the anniversary coming up. We want to just release part of it. And they're like, we'll just release the rest of it at this part. And they're like, I don't think you guys know how games work, and you own a video game company. I don't know, man. It's wild and wacky. And it seems like finally, because of the weird internet outrage culture that we have and like the quick news cycle, people are finally starting to take like massive action where like you see like countries like Australia like stepping up and being like, no, you can't do this. Like you have to be able to like take refunds. You have to be able to like give back like people's time and energy that they gave you because like you decide to put out like a half-baked like product. Like you purposely misled people, maybe maliciously or not, like in your advertising, the way you presented this. You're putting up like, you're basically a flim flam man, like promising the moon, but like delivering like nothing, you know.
Flim man.
the vaporware, you're selling vaporware, and like and that's, I don't think it's necessarily like bad intentions. Like we've, you know, discussed multiple times on this podcast, like when you're a developer, there are multiple layers to the onion. Like you have like the publisher, you have marketing, you have like the developer, and then like you have other what they call them, stakeholders as well, that are involved in this process. So it's not necessarily like a dude like Dr. Evil. It's not
let me give me 1 second. Okay. I just gotta interrupt. What?
So it's not like there's a giant cabal of these CEOs looking to like put out broken products. Like like Blizzard's Bobby Kotick, CD Projekt where it's got like Adam Koski. You got Bethesda's Todd Howard. From Software was Hidetaka Miyazaki. I don't think they're like sitting around like, how can we put out like a broken game and steal profiteer from these people as much as like it's a huge business. And I don't think like they're looking at like any one particular game and like how it does to put like base their entire business metric off of. They're looking at like everything from like budgets to timelines to management. It's a business, like they're trying to run a good business and they're not trying to put out like a busted product. Like I don't think that's anybody's goal. I think like very rarely do we see people just like over promising because they're not media trained. Like you saw like with like No Man's Sky's Sean Murray, where they just threw him like, rapid questions and he was just like promising like, the sky, No Man's Sky. He's like, I could do this and this, and like, maybe that was like a bullet point at some point, like with the team that they thought about, but it wasn't like nowhere near that. And like, even that, like it took them years to like get the game to what they initially promised. But like, I mean, they did it though. Like that's crazy. Like it was a smaller team though. And like,
true.
It's weird because you want to give people and companies like the benefit of the doubt, but like the outliers, like No Man's Sky, or like was CD Projekt Reds with like The Witcher 2 when they're still like a small studio and they like a lot rides on like their reputation. Like you see that kind of fizzle out when it comes to like bigger studios like Bethesda, where they put out like the same game, for the 50th time with like all the same problems still. And it's like,
you
guys had
the fact that Bethesda uses the same engine every time too is more. It's like, you didn't fix this between releases. The fuck's wrong with you?
Yeah, they always just point to the engine too. That's like their scapegoat. It's like, oh, it's just how the engine works. It's like, bro, what the? We could have put this all to a better engine. In the same amount. Like, you've had years to deal with this. Years. Like, you need to get off this engine.
So, I was thinking, and everyone listening and watching, just, apologies for the disruptions. My kids have been running back and forth, so I've been dealing with them. But as I was dealing with them this last time, I was thinking. So I work in, the IT field on the financial side and for my day job, and we release a patch every month. We release hot fixes as needed. In the past 3 months, we've released, there was one crucial bug fix that everyone was all hands on deck, and we were uploading them to servers. There was 3-4 patches. And I'm not talking about the big patches where it's an amalgamation of stuff, but I'm talking about like specific things. There are about 4 specific patches that we had to upload for shit to work. Now, the project that I work on and that I'm working with is a large, constantly evolving live project. But, shit breaks, and I understand that. And shit that's been working for years will break now because something else was updated from a third party that we don't use. So I was thinking, game engines aren't just, it's not just the engine, right? Engines are comprised of multiple parts. The Havoc physics engine, different sound engine. We have so many parts working together where, one part could update and break everything else. So I was thinking, maybe with these giant open worlds, there's a bunch of different systems monitoring other different things. There's AI subroutines that are like just concerned with nothing but pathing, right? Let's say you have that concerning with pathing, and you have that tied to like your memory limitations, and that's tied to something like the player's field of view. You tweak one thing, those 3 things can get fucked. I'm thinking maybe it's that, and just like things like that, right? So how do you fix that? I think that you fix that by minimalizing the time for failure. So you have every game has milestones on creation, right? Bug testers should be in sooner rather than later. And I think Bethesda's notorious for this. Is they don't do testing until a lot of the quest lines complete.
They're ready to release. They're like, all right, release it.
Pretty close.
Like, getting on our beta. I think, and the game releases 2 weeks later. It's like, bro, it's not a beta.
So I think more testing earlier in the dev cycle will be the answer.
This is why I don't pay for beta access or early access, because I'm like, that's somebody's job, dude. I'm not going to bug fix this game for you. Like, you need to pay people to fix this game. Like there's a specific skill set that people who test games know. They know how to like try and break things in certain ways to like get certain results. Like they're actively there's a different mindset of like playing a game and actively trying to break a game. And like you can do both, but I would say like most people who are trying to play your game are just trying to play your game. They're not like actively trying to break your game. So it's weird. You need to pay people for that, and like you need to get them in early to do that. Like it is what it is. I know like they're coming up with like AI solutions where it was like 1,000 monkeys on 1,000 typewriters type of scenario where it's like they just do everything, and like whatever breaks, then we know where like the leaks are happening. So I mean that's definitely like a good first pass. Is like I think AI will start to provide some of those solutions, but at the same time, like you're still going to be paying somebody to like develop those systems.
You're not going to get past that portion.
Like nothing's free. Like you got like this is all it really comes down to, right? When we talked about like the cabal of CEOs, like ha ha ha. I think it's like they look at the money and they're like, all right, do we want to pay like 2% more across the entire development to like try and get a better product? And then like it's kind of a chicken egg situation because like there's no way to really clearly like plot out that metric of like, if we test early, how much do we save at the back end? Because like we don't know how much is broken at the back end because we already fixed it, right? Yeah. It's like, oh, like if you repaired your roof, like it's not leaking, so therefore you shouldn't have to repair your roof. Like, don't put it on a new roof if you don't need it, like type of thing. But
true.
It's clearly they need to step up, and like this is a clear way to do that and like fix their game. And we're just going to see more and more like legal intervention by governments and lawmakers to be like, nah, bro. And like it just comes from the outrage.
Only the game industry are you allowed to release a broken ass product, right? Every other thing has like rules and regulations done by the government. I personally don't want the government's hands in a lot of this, but you know, at a certain point, I think developers are starting to learn. I think a lot of the quick switch developer, publishers got scared by CD Projekt Red with the Cyberpunk release, because a company as big and with as much goodwill as that to force like Sony and Microsoft to accept refunds of that game was huge.
Force the distributors to change their policy, and like that's one way to like instigate the change, is have like one bad player like do something so outrageous that everyone like has to be like, all right, we need new rules. And like the rules used to be like that as well. Like whenever you're pushing a game out to gold, where the game had to work, whereas like it switched off. Like
that's why I'm curious what the fuck happened with the gold certification, right? Some of these games are broken as hell.
It's during like 360. It was like they started making like one exception after the other, and then they're like
day one patches.
Because they're like, oh, we can do day one patches now, and then people were like, well, we know this and this is broken, and like here's our fixes for it, and they're like, yeah, all right, go ahead, you rascals. And then that got to the point where like, oh, this is just broken now, and the day one patch didn't do shit.
Is cool.
It was not cool.
Yeah, I think that's another problem the modern day industry has, is the day one patch. Don't release broken shit. How about that? That's the day one patch? Fucking delay it a month. Don't release broken shit. How about that? That's my thought.
And that's you're seeing the bigger players, Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, like stepping up with like new rules because of busted games.
Releasing games that aren't busted. Halo Infinite aside, Psychonauts was great on release. Forza Horizon was great on release. Horizon Forbidden West, great on release. Ratchet and Clank, great on release. So I think these first-person studios are doing something. So hopefully,
you're also seeing like a lot of engines getting to maturity as well, where they know how to work with like hardware and various hardware and services, where it's not the guessing game that it was even like 10 years ago, where it was like, we don't know how to get a game onto this Nintendo device. Like everything's kneecapped with like whatever the hardware side. So it's harder to port to, or like, companies running like their own weird jank backend software. Like everything's becoming more and more standardized as well for the hardware distribution part.
So man, I think it'll get better before it is, and I think hopefully this is the last, like these next 2 years are the last time we'll have to deal with widespread releases of just straight jank. I don't think it will be. Words. But, one can hope. Man. So that's our time. I just got to say, what's everyone else thinking about Elden Ring? Has there been a game on release that's fucking broken as shit that you just plow through regardless because you're enjoying the game so much? And vice versa. Are there games that you just stopped playing because they're too broken to even, give it a go? We'll see. Time will tell. Time heals all wounds as long as you keep working on it. So we'll see how that goes. Any final thoughts, Chip, or...
It's kind of like this, what you're parodying what you said earlier. Like if you're a smaller developer, like get other eyes on it early to try it out and test out your game, see how things break. And if you're a bigger developer, pay the maintainer to come out there.
For sure. All right, guys. Well, that's our time. I am Mr. Gimpy, and that's
Chipmunk.
And we are the Combo Wombo Podcast. We'll see you next week, guys. Take care, everybody.
Peace.
We out.